to the questions that you need. Get the information so that you can plant a seed to grow your wealth and build a legacy. Need help trying to build? Just ask Ellie.
All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Ask Ellie, your favorite live business talk show where I speak to real entrepreneurs that have real questions about the very real businesses they are building. So today we are filming another episode here with a live audience out here in LA. Everybody say hey. Hey. Yes, we are so very excited. And you know that here on my show, I always want to give real answers, great value, nothing hidden, really to help you guys get some key, questions answered for your business so you can start to take the next step in your business, all right? So we're gonna bring a couple people up from the audience now to ask some questions. And for those of you that are watching, if you know you wanna be on the next episode of Ask Ellie, then text Ask Ellie to 310-564-0065. And when I'm in your city, I will let you know so you can come and pull up, all right? So let's bring a couple people up to the stage. Oh, we've got our first question. Come on up, sir. Y'all give him a round of applause. All right, so introduce yourself, let us know what you do, and your question.
Hey. My name's Shani Olora. I'm pretty new to this space, maybe about a year or two, but I would say I'm a credit builder, and I'm also a Forex trader. So I first just want to say thank you so much for holding events like these because, I'm someone where sometimes I'm just alone on my computer and I'm looking up information like, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? And, when you come to events like this, there are people who are open and you've been so open. So I just want to thank you for that, really. But my question is, I'm someone who's already built their business credit to some extent. I already have my Paydex scores. I've built up my personal credit. And I wanted to speak about something that's a little abstract. I just wanted to get your take on faith versus information. Because when you go into an investment, and some people are, taking money that's not theirs, or not taking, but borrowing, from banks, or they're, hiring new people, and it can be very stressful. You're utilizing all these new resources, and it's very unconventional, and you kind of have to break your mind away from that. And I just wanted to get your take on leaning on faith and leaning on information.
I get that. I think I understand what you're saying. You're kind of asking about where in business do we have faith and where do we focus on the facts? Exactly. And trying to know what to do. That's a really good question. I think that, I would say this, faith never goes away, right? We always want to make sure that we have faith at the back, right? That's the engine that keeps us going, because sometimes even when the information looks correct and when the facts look like they're going to add up and it's going to be a good decision, it can still go left, right? Faith is the only guarantee. Facts really aren't a guarantee. Faith is the only thing that you should lean on to say, this is the decision that I'm going to go ahead and make because I believe that it's going to work. And if it doesn't work, I believe that I will learn from it and go find something else that will work. Now, what I would say is when it comes to deciding, am I going to invest in this? Am I going to hire this person? Another huge part of business is going and asking for help and asking people questions who may have the answer to something that you don't know, right? So I'll give my own example. When I started to earn money in my business, I was still living at my mom's house. I knew I wanted to, to kind of move, to hire people, to grow my business. But because this was my first time ever making any type of money at that level, I needed to make sure that I made a good decision. And I had faith that I was going to be able to go forward and make something amazing happen. But even with that faith, I still needed to go out and humble myself to hire someone or get the information of someone who had more experience than I did. So I think that's where faith and facts can coexist. And it's really important that if you are considering a big investment decision or considering a next step in your business, then you go out and look for someone who is where you want to go. And if it means you have to pay them for a one-on-one call to get the info, maybe that's what we do. If they have some free resources and you go listen, maybe that's what we do. But that's a really great way to ensure that you're making a decision that you feel confident about, where your faith is in check, and you're making sure that it's still a good decision. Does that kind of help?
No, that helped. That was amazing.
Yeah. Okay, good. Do you have a follow-up?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. You're so welcome. You're welcome. That's a good question. I think that's actually a great question. You know, sometimes we don't realize that sometimes we might hold ourselves back from a decision because we think it's too risky, we're not sure. You know, when I first made my first hire, which also was Gina, so shout out to Gina. She was the first person. Gina has been there from day one. She was the first person I ever hired. And it was very scary because, you know, it's one thing to make enough money for yourself, but it's another thing to be like, am I going to make enough money to pay another individual, another human being, right? That can be very scary. But I had faith that I could make it happen. But I also had to ask other people, hey, what's a good starting salary when I'm making my first hire? How do I calculate this, right? So, you know, even if you don't know something, don't let that be the reason why you decide not to do it. Have faith that you can do it, and then go get a little research to help you make and execute a better decision. Hey, come on up here. You look lovely. I love this fur, yes. All right, so introduce yourself.
My name is Diane. I go by the Kenyan CEO. I am an IT consultant and also a real estate investor. I've been in IT consulting for over 10 years and real estate investing for about 3 years. Today marks a year since I met Ellie in person. I came to your LA event a year ago, and you really changed my life last year. You helped me triple my revenue last year. Yeah. And to bring it full circle, I met a lady named Raquel during the intermission, and I was absolutely honored to meet your mom. So today my question for you, Ellie, because this is my level up year, this is my breakout year. How do you deal with imposter syndrome? Because I have heard that it comes in at every level of your success, no matter where you are.
That is a great question. Raise your hand. How many of y'all deal with imposter syndrome? Girl, listen. Imposter syndrome, she get on my nerves, okay? And I believe she's a she because she be just doing too much sometimes. But, you know, for me, and you're right, at every level, imposter syndrome comes because you are ascending to a new level all the time, right? Every time we learn more, every time we achieve more, then we expose ourselves to more of what's possible, and then we go to those new levels, and here she comes. I don't know if you belong in that room. I don't know if you're qualified to do that. I don't know if this is actually a good idea for you. Only other people can do this. You can't do this, right? We all have these thoughts in our mind. But what has been really helpful for me with imposter syndrome, you know, we have to document our successes, okay? It's very easy for us to remember our failures, but we don't always remember the times where we won. And so you have to make it a point. I make this a point. If anybody knows me, I have so many notebooks on my desk. And in those notebooks, I'm writing down things I have to do, but I'm also writing down wins. I'm writing down, even if it's a small win, right? This is how you're going to defeat imposter syndrome, because every time she shows up and she says, you can't do it, you're not qualified, you go back to your list of wins and you say, but yes, I am, because I actually did this. And even though that one thing didn't work, here's 3 other ways that I was successful. I tripled my revenue. I started my Airbnbs. I built this other company. I make this much in my business. I've helped the company I work for to achieve X, Y, and Z. And so you continuously build up that confidence in yourself, because imposter syndrome only has space to defeat us when we give in to feeling bad about the times where we've quote unquote failed, right? But truly, it's never a failure, it's just a lesson. You know, it's just a lesson. And so when we see it as, that was a learning opportunity, and here's how I applied the learning opportunity, and here's all the ways that I won, then imposter syndrome has nothing to say. She got to be quiet. Because we have officially shown her and shown ourselves, here are the reasons why I do know what I'm talking about. And when I go into this new room, and when I ascend to this new level, here's why I deserve to be there, because I've mastered this last level. I've already done it. And, you know, I want you guys to realize too, and you as well, we only become exposed to new opportunities when we're ready for them. So everything happens by design. Even the fact that you all are here, you know, this is not a coincidence. What you learned today was, for many of you, your first time hearing these gems that were shared. But that is because it was time for you to receive that information. It was time for you to receive that information, because something is going to come up this year where you're going to have to use the things I taught you about. And when you use them, now you'll be qualified to go and tell them to someone else. And don't let imposter syndrome stop you from doing that, because you're qualified to do it. The only reason I had this idea for Ask Ellie is because it was time for it to come to life. So then you've got to know when something comes, when you're presented with an idea, when you're presented with an opportunity, it's because whether you know it or not, you're ready. Somebody say, I'm ready. I'm ready. You're ready. Thank you. Such a great question. That is so, so key. You know, and it's true, imposter syndrome doesn't go away, but we just get stronger, and the voice gets quieter, right? The voice gets quieter until we don't even hear it anymore. Do we have another question? Yes? Oh, did you see Gina already? Okay, cool, we saw Gina. Hello, and yes, Color.
Hey, Ellie. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for providing so much valuable information and really striving to make us mommies out here millionaires. Yes, so I am a mama too. I have an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. I homeschool my 8-year-old. I am a registered nurse by profession, but I'm currently working on a course. What my course is basically is helping women overcome postpartum depression without utilizing antidepressants, because 2 years ago, about this time, I was really undergoing a deep, dark depressive state. And so I've been doing a lot of studying, and they said 1 in 7 women will develop postpartum depression. And sometimes when it's left untreated, it goes on to develop postpartum psychosis. And I read a story where a mother, she was undergoing so much stress, and they prescribed antidepressants, but it went on into her basically having hallucinations, auditory and visual hallucinations. And what wound up happening is she not only took her life, but she took her child's life as well. Yeah, and I think that happened in, I think, like Thailand or some things of that nature. So, you know, I'm very, when it comes to mental health, I'm very passionate about it. And so I also work with mental health, people who have mental health issues as well. But anyhow, I have a question. So I'm in the process of building my business credit. And so I encountered an issue. So in Tier 2, I applied for Floor and Decor. I was approved for $15,000, and I guess they did a secondary review, and they closed my account. Yeah, and they asked me to provide like like identity like verification, and I provided it, like my bank statement and everything, and they still went on to deny me. And the same thing happened with like Shell and Chevron. So I'm not quite sure what exactly I'm doing wrong. Like, yeah.
That's a really great question, and thank you for the work that you're doing too. It's very necessary. Yes, shout out to that. We need that. That's a great question. So that's rare, but I've definitely heard of that happening. And sometimes, with business, and did this happen like last year? Okay, so you all know in 2020, right, when a lot of people created all these new LLCs and EINs, to go get this money online, and so as a result of that, right, a lot of companies are taking extra measures to make sure that the people who are applying for funding are actually real businesses, and businesses that have not just decided to create an LLC this week just to go and get some free money, okay? So that could be a part of the strict process. Now, another thing is that, do you already have your DUNS number? Okay, good. So something we might want to look at is making sure that the address that is on your DUNS number and on your LLC and on your bank account, that they all match. Is it your personal address or is it a business address? It's virtual. So that's a good thing that those all match. Sometimes that can be a reason why they, might deny, is if the Dun & Bradstreet has a different address than the LLC, or that has a different address than the business bank account. What I might look at is if the virtual address that you have is with an online company, consider getting a virtual address with a fixed location, like Regis, for example, or WeWork, because some virtual addresses are, again, just online on the internet. But if you get one through Regis or WeWork, it's an actual building, physical location. And so that can help add a little bit of credibility to the business. Another thing that I would do is I would go and get more business credit accounts and then double back to Floor & Decor. So I mentioned NAV, I mentioned eCredible, Credit Strong. You want to go ahead and set up some of those. I would also go and get some Net 30 accounts with Uline, Quill, yes. Place a couple orders, because it could be also that if they're pulling your business credit history, and if maybe you have, less than 6 months or not a lot of frequency of accounts, they might just want to see more trade lines, more payment experiences. And so a payment experience is basically where you actually make a payment on your account and then it reports it to DNB and all the other bureaus. They might want to see more of that to see that your business is actually utilizing the credit and that you're just not going to get the account and then never use the $15K. So that could be a couple of things to look at. What other credit accounts have you been approved for?
Yeah, so I have Uline, Quill, and Granger.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah, and I have BP, I think.
That's a good diversification. So what I would do with Uline, Quill, and Granger, these are Net 30 accounts. I would go ahead and place another order, pay it back early, right? So you have 30 days to pay it back. I recommend paying it at the 20-day time frame. And the good thing is when you stack your payments, you don't necessarily have to do one order per month, because that's 3 months. Do 3 orders in the same month, but just choose them on different days. So make an order with Uline on the 2nd, another with Quill on the 10th, and maybe another with Granger on the 15th. So then when you pay those back in that 30 days, you got 3 payments successfully made within a 30-day period. Does that make sense? Exactly. Just choose different days. So now once you have those 3 additional payments on your report, I would go back to Floor & Decor for the approval, and it should go through because now you've had a recent payment history and a recent payment experience on your account.
Okay.
Yeah. You're so welcome. Thank you. Okay. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Did y'all get some value tonight? Yes, yes. We love it, we love it, we love it. So, as always, I want to encourage all of you here and all of you that are watching this on YouTube, stay confident, keep going in your business, continue to believe in yourself, and stay consistent. A huge part of business is sometimes we have the motivation to go and do what we want to do, But as my brother Rome always tells me, motivation is fleeting. You really have to rely only on discipline. And for the whole first 2 years of my business, I had a certain screensaver on my phone. And the quote that it said is, discipline is the highest form of self-care. Discipline is the highest form of self-care. I literally just took that screensaver down when I got married, right? Now it's me and my husband. But, that goes to show how powerful that quote was in my life and how powerful it still is, because when we see it that way, keeping your word to yourself is discipline, right? Doing what you said you were going to do is discipline. Doing it all the time is discipline. And there's no better way to show yourself love and respect than to honor yourself and to honor your word and to build your business. So that concludes another amazing episode of Ask Ellie. Shout out to my audience. Thank y'all for being here. Yes. We absolutely love it. So make sure, if this is your first episode you've seen, go ahead to my channel and binge watch all the other episodes. And then I want you to text Ask Ellie to 310-564-0065. And next time I'm in your city, I will let you know when we are filming Ask Ellie near you. Thank you guys. See you at the next one. Thank you all so much for watching the show. It is my absolute pleasure to bring you this value and answer your questions live. I want to make sure that you understand that in no way am I giving you financial advice. I always recommend that you hire a licensed or legal professional for any of your financial, tax, accounting, or business needs, okay? Thank you so much for watching the show, and we can't wait to see you on the next episode of Ask Ellie. Bye-bye.